Jane's story is a sad one. Despite her name, she was the victim, not the killer. You could say she was a survivor. At the age of 14, Jane Arkensaw lived in a nice house with her parents in a quiet neighbourhood beside her school. One typical day, a family moved into that seemingly forever empty house on her street, a family of 4. Jeff, his parents, and his younger brother, Liu.
Jane avoided the family since she knew nothing about them. She was going to school a few days after Jeff had moved in and saw him and Liu waiting for the school bus. The 3 bullies approached them and wanted to fight. They started to be violent towards Jeff as he tried to protect Liu from being hurt. Jeff got hit on the head and there was blood everywhere. Liu tried to defend his brother but got hit as well. Jeff got mad and attacked the 2 weaker bullies and they ran away bleeding. The strongest in the school knocked Jeff to the floor and started kicking him. Jane nearly cried. However, Jeff got really angry and broke the idiot's wrist and pushed him into the floor. Everyone avoided Jeff at school and after. At home, the police came for Jeff. Leo answered the door. "Hello, now someone from this house has attacked 3 boys and broke one's wrist." Jeff's mom immediately came to the door. So did Jeff. "That can't be true, officer. None of my sons would attack anyone." Jeff's mom was shocked to find out she was wrong. Jeff had felt something great when he attacked the pupils. "It was me. I did it." Leo lied to the police officer. "No, Leo, I'm grateful for you sticking up for me, but you shouldn't lie. Officer, it was me. I got mad. I didn't want Leo to get hurt." After a while, Leo had convinced the police that it was him, and Jeff's parents said, "It's kind to stick up for your younger brother, but he attacked people." The police has taken Leo away and Jeff was crying. Jane watched all of this from her bedroom window and was astounded like everyone else.
When everyone heard that Randy wouldn't be in school for a few days, the rumours about Liu prevailed. Some ridiculous rumours, like how Liu had allegedly cut Keith's arm off. This saddened Jane, driving her to leave a note on Jeff's desk saying, "There's still someone out there who's your friend. You're not alone. Jay." The next day was a Saturday, with a party next door to Jane's house. Jane herself wasn't invited, but to her surprise, she saw Jeff at the party from her window. He was running around with a cowboy hat on, playing with younger children. Maybe he isn't so bad, she couldn't help but think. Later on, something caught her eye. At the party, there stood Randy, Troy and Keith. It wasn't long before they picked an aggressive fight with Jeff. You could see the fear and desire to escape in Jeff's eyes. Then again, a hint of hatred became evident. He wanted to hurt the bullies. He wanted to make them suffer again. Within moments, they had all run upstairs to fight away from prying eyes. But something this time was different. Randy, Troy and Keith had guns. Randy threatened to shoot anyone who dared call the police. Jane could hear everything from her bedroom and didn't listen to the threats. She couldn't take it anymore. Sheepishly, she called the police and told them the address. Then, there was a noise that she could never forget. A noise that pierced her soul. Jeff screamed. It was blood-curdling. It was unbearable. He'd been doused in ethanol and set alight, with one tiny lighter flame. Panicking, Jane ran outside, hoping to find the police or anyone else. But she slipped and hit her head so hard on the ground that it knocked her out. She was unaware of the severity of her head injury until she woke up in hospital, surrounded by her parents and Jeff's parents. Jeff's mother thanked Jane for trying to help Jeff, since she was the reason that he was able to be saved on time. Jeff's father offered to have Jane and her parents over for dinner to get to know each other a bit better. Unfortunately, Jeff's entire face and body was still covered in bandages. A few weeks later, Liu was home from serving in the juvenile institution. He and his parents sat on the edge of their seats as Jeff's face bandage was being removed. Would that still be him under there? What had been done to him? When the last of the bandage was being pulled from his face, it revealed ivory white skin, giving the illusion of being bleached. His lips were blood red and his eyes big and bulging. Jeff grew concerned as his family stared in horror, causing him to stumble to the bathroom to look into a mirror. After staring in surprise for a while, his eyes widened and his crimson mouth curved into a maniacal grin. "I'm beautiful," he repeated. "I'm so beautiful." When the family had returned home, Jeff's mother walked into the bathroom to see him holding a knife and a lighter. His eyelids had been burnt off, so he no longer had to sleep. A wide smile had been carved into his face, as a few drops of blood rolled down his mouth. "Jeff, what are you doing? Why are you being ridiculous?" his mother cried. Jeff turned around and sweetly said, "Oh, Mother, don't you like it?" His eyes pierced through her, and she took into account the knife firmly gripped in his right hand. At that point, his mother began to stutter, and said how much she liked it and wanted to show his father, quickly excusing herself. "Get the gun, get the gun," Jeff's mother whispered into her husband's ear. Before anyone could react, Jeff was standing in the doorway and muttered, "You lied." That was the night Jane and her parents were due to go to dinner. She refused. Jeff's face terrified her. Nevertheless, Jane's parents went and still weren't home by the time she went to bed. Jane was woken by a very faint tapping noise, causing her to go to her window. In the dark, she could just make out Jeff tapping his knife on his bedroom window across the road. Jane's heart pulsated quicker and quicker. She was too scared to move, but had to make sure her door was locked. The clock read 2:19 a.m. and her parents still weren't home. Trembling madly, Jane cautiously stepped down her staircase and to her front door, only to realise that it was left unlocked. Her parents must have had the key. Lights were still on in Jeff's dining room, so Jane ran across the road in her pyjamas. As she knocked on the door of the house, it swung open and she was greeted by Jeff, who led her through to the dining room. He smirked and said, "Why didn't you come to dinner, Jane? It's okay, you may join everyone else." As she entered the dining room, she found her parents, Jeff's parents, and Liu all sitting around the table. They were smiling, except their smiles were carved into their faces, their eyelids gone. 5 parodies of life slumped in their chairs. Jane's knees trembled violently, and she collapsed onto the floor, screaming and wailing until her throat hurt. Just one burning feeling in her body drove her. She stood and thrust herself towards Jeff, hoping to kill him. Not sure how, but wanted him dead on the spot. He fought back and attacked her until she was weak and tied her to a chair. Jeff stared Jane dead in her pleading eyes and croaked, "The fire brigade are already on their way. I called them." Without a second thought, he poured bottles of alcohol and spirit burner all over Jane's feeble body before setting her alight. She felt her skin melting, and it was the most agonizing thing imaginable. She screamed and screamed, but only Jeff was there to enjoy it. Minutes felt like hours, and she eventually passed out, from a combination of shock and pain. She awoke in hospital, her whole body tingling and burning. A nurse came to unwrap Jane's bandages, and seemed unfazed by her appearance. Jane, being self-conscious, asked for a mirror. Despite the nurse's strong advice against it, Jane persisted and finally managed to see her reflection. She screamed in horror, then began to cry from her stinging eyes. She had no hair left, and her skin was brown and leathery. Her whole face appeared blistered. The nurse tried to console Jane by saying, "I know it's a lot to handle, but someone left you presents." She responded, "I have no family. Who the hell would give me presents?" A note sat among the presents, signed by Jeff. It read, "I'm sorry for doing this to you, so please accept my peace offering." Jane snatched the flowers that had been left by Jeff and tore them up, throwing them onto the floor in a fit of rage. He had also left a black dress, a long black wig, and a white mask with black eyes to cover her face. After calming herself down and putting them on, she briskly left the hospital. From then on, she vowed to inflict the worst pain possible on Jeff. She wanted to hear him scream like he did that day at the party. Neither Jeff nor Jane had a home to go to, but they'd spend their lives playing cat and mouse with each other. Only Jane was never able to save Jeff's victims. She became Jane Everlasting.